Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. And today, in our in-depth look at the forces of Battlefleet Gothic, we're going to look at the Necrons, the ancient mechanical army from way back when the Eldar Empire was still young. The Necrons are, in a sense, the arch-enemies of the Eldar, mostly because they were one of the biggest threats to the Eldar Empire, and the Eldar were the only beings who had technology capable of destroying their Satan masters. And in Battlefleet Gothic, the Necrons are essentially one of the most powerful armies in the game, if not the most powerful army in the game, incorporating a lot of very interesting special rules that make them really, really hard to kill, and a lot of their special rules count double for Eldar, because they're supposed to be anti-Eldar and anti-Dark Eldar above everything else. And so, let's continue on, let's go into our in-depth look here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is their special rules. And the first thing, the Necron weapons come first, but we're going to talk about the regular special rules first. And the first thing is the Necrons have their own special critical hit table. Now, they still suffer critical hits as normal, but instead of using the critical hit damage table in the Battlefleet Gothic rulebook, they take a special table that's found on page 74 in the Armada Handbook, specifically tied to the Necrons. They also were given what's called reactive hulls. This is basically their ships are made out of living metal, like the monoliths in 40K. What this does for them is this allows them to ignore the effects of damage, leadership, movement, and movement from solar flares, radiation, gas clouds, and blast markers. All Necron ships are armor 6. This is representation of how difficult it is to target them and to find weak points in them, and in addition they receive a special save against each hit to represent the hull's adaptive qualities. The save is 6 for raiders, 5+ for harvesters and scythes, and 4+ for tomb ships. If a Necron vessel uses brace for impact, then the save is modified to 2+, but its stealth properties are instantly compromised. A Necron ship on brace for impact order is reduced to armor 6, and last but not least, all Necron critical repairs are made on a 4 or more as the sentient metal attempts to self-repair. So this is really great. This basically means against all attacks, they get this special save. Now, like this says, I was wrong in my video in the Blackstone Fortress, as one of my subscribers mentioned in the comment listed. I'm not going to attempt to say his name in fear of mispronouncing it and totally botching it on him, so I'll just put his name right here. Thank you, big shout out. Now, one question that does come up here is, since it is immune to the warp cannon attack, it still gets its save. How does this save apply to Nova cannons and Armageddon shots? Well, like I said, what I basically said is basically what the rules say here. And I looked up the Battlefleet Gothic FAQ special rule FAQ for 2007, and there was nothing listed in the Necron special rules section, but under the Nova Cannon section, it only mentions Eldar holofields and similar system saves, like the Tyrannid spore mines and such. And so the only thing I can think of is you should discuss it with your opponent and come to an equal compromise. The easiest compromise is to treat them like Eldar holofields, and because it is a similar save in a sense, and allow it to only save against the shell hit. This is when the template rolls over it, and if the circle of the template appears over the ship, you get to roll the Eldar get to roll their save to see if they ignore it. You can do that the same with the Necrons. They roll their save, and if they pass, they pass, and if they fail, they take the subsequent damage roll after the fact. They don't get to roll for the damage die itself. Now, if there's some people who wish to argue that that's not how the roll works, the only other type of rule I can think of to counterbalance it is, instead of rolling the save for the shell hit, you roll a save for the subsequent damage rolls, which is, instead of rolling for the shell hit, you roll the d6, and then you roll a save for each damage point. Now, I think, personally, the easiest way is to just treat it like the holofields and just roll against the initial save. I think it's the most fair. But again, that's still open for interpretation and for argument as to how that rule's played. So those are my two thoughts on how the best way to run that rule. So let's move on with the rest of the special rules here. They also have what's a special rule called int internalysis drive. The Necron drives are capable of interstellar travel without the need to enter the warp. The drive is fired whenever all ahead full orders are used. Instead of obeying the normal rules for the order, the ship gains d6 times 10 centimeters additional movement, and then can make a turn for every 20 centimeters it travels. So it's really ridiculous. It can basically go up to 60 centimeters in range. Granted, that makes them pretty much the fastest army in the fleet, but because of the way the Dark Eldar special rules is, they can turn the tide on that. But still, that is ridiculous how fast they travel when they do the all-ahead full special order, which is really, really neat. Also, one thing is, they are Necrons, and of course they have a disengage special rule. Necrons will always prefer to disengage than fight to the end. They do this by fading out, or quote-unquote phasing out. The vessel in question dematerializes and drops out of normal space. At the end of its movement phase, any Necron ship may perform the fade-out disengage automatically. At the end of the game, including normal victory points, count up the Necron losses using the following modifiers. Any capital ship that disengages with no damage whatsoever counts as a 10% destroyed. Any capital ship that disengages with any damage at all, or any raider that disengages, counts as 25% destroyed. Any capital ship that is crippled counts as 50% destroyed. Any capital ship that is destroyed but not left as a drifting hull counts as 200% destroyed. Any capital ship that is destroyed and left as a drifting hull count as 300% destroyed. So yeah, they get to disengage automatically, but against victory point conditions, their capital ships will end up costing you a lot of points, and some of the raiders will as well. And also Necron repair points. This is for campaign games. Due to the advanced nature of Necron technology, all Necron ships must expand double the normal amount of repair points to repair hits and buy new ships when playing in a campaign. And that was it for all the general universal special rules for the Necrons, and then they were given special weapon rules. The first in our list is the Sepulcher. The Sepulcher is basically an ancient tomb that's placed on some of the larger Necron vessels, and what it does is it gives the vessel a leadership of 10, and allows it an attack that it can perform against one enemy vessel within 20 centimeter range. What happens is the ship getting attacked makes a leadership test. If it passes, nothing happens, but if it failed, then the leadership of that vessel is permanently reduced by 1, and they may not take any special orders until the end of their next turn. This includes the Brace for Impact special order, and any ordnance within 20 centimeters of the Sepulcher, except for non-boarding torpedoes, are destroyed on a 4+. And a Necron ship may only unleash the Sepulcher when the ship is not on any special orders or crippled. Another thing they were given was their Lightning Arc. The Lightning Arc on a Necron vessel functions as their weapon batteries, and with 2 special rules. They do not suffer the normal column shift to the right when attacking vessels who have holofields or shadow fields, and all targets are treated as closing. So Necrons basically ignore the only thing that Dark Eldar and regular Eldar get to protect themselves from from weapon batteries, which makes them even more like tissue paper when they're fighting against the Necrons. Okay, now we're running out of time, so we're going to continue on with the remainder of the Necron special weapons in our next video. So, until then, this is Helios Raven, signing off.